Welcome back to the table, friends. I'm your humble host, GreyDMs, and with me as always is Owen.
Hello.
Today we continue to be graced by two members at our table, some of whom have opinions about things. But we have Jason and Drake with us.
Some of us are feeling attacked. Maybe. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, today I wanted to bring a topic forth to the table. Is something that has always sparked interest in me, something I've been meaning to for a long time to present to the table in a gameplay a campaign I want to run.
Does it bring you joy?
It does. It's a weird conglomeration of a bunch of kind of interesting flavors, and it is called the Mega Dungeon. So today we're going to be talking about that and try to get you guys' opinions about stuff.
No, sir, I don't like it.
Don't like it.
I never would have guessed in a million years you wanted to run a Mega Dungeon.
Mega Dungeon. I do. Like, it's a lot. I can talk about it, but we got to go over some stuff that we can tell our dear listeners what it is, the history of it, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. So, the Mega Dungeon stands as a foundational and enduring trope within the realm of tabletop role-playing games, having emerged from the nascent stages of fantasy gaming in the 1970s. It is an imagined space of complex and interconnected network that forms a distinctive environment for adventure. At its core, the Mega Dungeon is defined by a significant asymmetry. It exists as a meticulously designed object by the Dungeon Master or through algorithmic generation, yet it simultaneously manifests as a dynamic spatial practice shaped by unique experiences and the choices of players traversing its depths. Fundamentally, a Mega Dungeon is characterized by its immense scale, being large enough that an entire campaign can be played within its confines. Such structures typically feature 10 or more levels, with intricate interconnections between the levels and with the surface, ensuring a vast and complex internal geography. The scale is not merely for grandeur, it is integral to its function. As Matt Finch, a prominent figure in the old-school Renaissance movement, articulated, Mega Dungeons are flexible environments specifically created for use in repeated adventures. This design philosophy prioritizes freedom of action for players, moving beyond a singular linear mission to embrace a more open-ended, exploratory playstyle. This inherent design for longevity and replayability means that Mega Dungeons function less as static maps to be cleared and more as dynamic campaign engines, a self-sustaining setting capable of generating narrative and challenges over extended periods. Beyond its physical attributes, the Mega Dungeon is a profound example of a co-created reality within gaming. The academic framework of a Lefebvrean triad helps to illuminate this. The Mega Dungeon is both a conceived space, the DM's designed, and a perceived space, the player's navigation, culminating in a lived experience through repeated engagement. It is designed as a unique environment vast enough to accommodate multiple groups of creatures and distinct actions. This capacity for diverse inhabitants means that Mega Dungeon is not a passive backdrop, but a reactive system. The continuous interplay between the designer's foundational structure and the player's ongoing interactions, combined with the internal dynamics of various inhabitants, leads to an emergent narrative. The dungeon's reality is not solely predetermined. It is continually shaped and reshaped by player actions and the evolving relationships within its living systems. This makes it a truly collaborative story place where adventures arise organically from the environment itself. So that was a lot. All right, so where did this come from, right? The genesis of a Mega Dungeon trope is deeply intertwined with the very origins of Dungeons & Dragons in the early 1970s, pioneered by its co-designers Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. Gygax's personal gaming habits significantly influenced this development. He reportedly played D&D up to 7 times a week, often for a fluctuating cast of characters who would drop in spontaneously. This represented a considerable logistic challenge for campaign management and the continuous creation of new content, a task that modern DMs often find demanding even for a single weekly game. The Mega Dungeon emerged as a pragmatic solution to these challenges. Its sprawling, multi-level design facilitated an episodic play style where each game session could be a new expedition into the dungeon, and specific composition of the adventuring party never mattered. This allowed Gygax and later his co-referee Rob Kuntz to run games efficiently from minimal notes, wandering monster tables, and dice rolls rather than relying on extensive pre-scripted plots. This approach fostered a high degree of player agency, granting participants more control over their characters' destinies than is typical in most modern plot-driven games. The design choice directly shaped the very nature of early TTRPG play, emphasizing emergent narrative and player-driven exploration as a direct consequence of its structure. Gygax's conviction in the Mega Dungeons utility was so strong that he explicitly mandated it as a requirement for play in the Underworld and Wilderness Adventures, one of the original D&D Brown books. He stipulated that a good dungeon will have no less than 12 levels down, with offshoot levels in addition, and new levels under construction that players will never grow tired of it. His own Greyhawk Castle exemplified this, featuring over 12 levels in succession downwards, more than the number of branching from these, and not less than 2 new levels under construction at any time, replete with diverse environments like a museum, an underground lake, and even a bowling alley for 20-foot-high giants. Dave Arneson employed a similar mega dungeon below Blackmoor Castle to manage his own and varied player groups. The mega dungeon, therefore, was not merely a creative concept, it was a pragmatic innovation that addressed the logistical demands of early TTRPGs, fundamentally shaping the genre's emphasis on exploration and player-driven narrative. Many of these pioneering mega dungeons were initially run by their creators with a know-how largely residing in the mind of the creators. This informal transmission of design principle meant that much of the original methodology for running such vast campaigns was at risk of being lost. However, the old-school Renaissance movement later undertook a conscious effort to analyze, codify, and disseminate the design principles of these early works. The OSR Mega Dungeon exegesis theorizing was in large part an effort to preserve the almost lost method of running a campaign with one huge dungeon as its centerpiece. This demonstrates that the Mega Dungeon is not mere a historical artifact, but a living design philosophy that continues to be studied and iterated upon, underscoring its enduring value and the community's commitment to its foundational principles. So,
I think I would hate running a mega dungeon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just like anti...
I guess it really depends on the dungeon itself. When I do a tabletop game like this, I want a story. Mm. And I feel like Mega Dungeon is just kick down the door, fight the bad guy, get the loot.
Did you ever watch Maze Runners?
No.
You ever saw Maze Runners, the movie?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did watch that. Yeah.
So, like, that is what got me into wanting to play a Mega Dungeon.
Really?
Because I was like, it's not the old 70s, like, you kick down a door and there's a reason for it. It was the concept of, what is this place and why?
What is the dungeon? Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that is interesting.
That part of it, and we'll get into that later, like that weird alien part of it, which is a whole, now there's a philosophy in TTRPGs that talks about it later on, is like my thing is like, it's this weird mythical place. But anyway.
So that explains to me now why you want to do a mega dungeon, because you're not doing the like Tomb of Horrors or something that I'm used to from way back. You're taking the story that we do now and you're implementing it into a dungeon.
Yes. And like, obviously talk about it a little, but there are certain books that I'm starting to read that have this, but like, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We could talk endlessly about that, but no. And we'll talk about a bunch of examples that we've seen a bunch of. And if you haven't seen, some of these are good ones. But like, this has been a long time thing of mine. And I keep kind of reshaping in the back of my head, but like, it's kind of what I kind of solemnly call my last campaign that I want to run. Is like, because I want it to be everything on the table. Like everything I have is here. And this is the thing that we all talk about. And like, everything I can do to make this the coolest thing ever.
Your magnum opus.
It is 100%. And it's ultimately going to be around a mega dungeon. But like, there's a bunch more. You're kind of right. Like, I veer heavily into, there's a lot of story reason why it exists. But that's nothing.
That I can handle. If it was just straight up, the old school, kick the door down, fight the monster, get the loot.
Like, I feel like there's like there's a space for that. because like it depends on like the tone of the game you want to play. Because like, I'm 100% with you. I want like, the deep and meaningful story. But, sometimes, if there's just, a 100 floor dungeon and you just go down there, collect loot, and then run a quaint little store where you sell the dungeon loot, that could be a nice change of pace if you want something to just feel good about.
And sometimes the dungeon is really just a setting. It's like we're going to talk about the examples of where this pops up. A lot of them, like the dungeon is just the setting in which the story takes place. And like, anyway.
Yeah, whenever I always dreaded like the campaigns that I ran, I had to take you guys into a dungeon. I'm like, oh no.
Because we were meticulous about stuff.
This is going to get boring and dragged out, and
especially when it's like 5 rooms and you're like, I got the first.
There's
room,
nothing.
There's nothing in it.
What about the second room? There's nothing in it.
The third room, you found a sack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are these rooms even here?
Okay. So let's talk about the design philosophies of a mega dungeon.
Then there were a lot of babies in there too.
Terracotta armor, you fall through the floor and die.
The mega dungeon is fundamentally defined by its immense scale. It must be large enough to be considered its own unique environment, often comprising 10 levels or more. Modern challenges such as Dungeon 23 initiative exemplify this ambition, aiming for a 365-room mega dungeon, effectively translating to 12 levels designed over a year. The sheer size is crucial for its function as a persistent, self-contained world. Beyond mere dimensions, non-linearity and intricate interconnections are paramount. A well-designed mega dungeon prevents monotony and ensures replayability by allowing players to choose diverse paths and experiences with each delve. This is achieved through intricate interconnections between levels and with the surface. The application of Jacquet's techniques is a key design principle in this regard, promoting interest in avoiding linear progression through secret paths, loops, level connections, and multiple entrances. These techniques weave a complex interwoven environment that encourages exploration and strategic navigation. Collectively, these attributes combine to make the mega dungeon a micro setting in itself, capable of generating endless adventures and character progression without necessitating frequent excursions into external wilderness areas. It functions as a highly efficient and immersive framework for an extended campaign. The ultimate defining attribute is its campaign scope. Mega dungeons are explicitly designed to support a whole campaign worth of exploration, or even an entire life cycle of an adventure, of a storyline and a campaign. While a campaign does not have to be exclusively confined to a mega dungeon, the critical aspect is that it could be. The capacity for self-sustained play is what elevates a large dungeon to a mega dungeon. So some of them, like the Tomb of Horrors, is basically a large dungeon. A mega dungeon, though, would be the dungeon underneath the Yawning Portal.
Yep.
Like that is definitely one, the Mad Mage's dungeon. So, a hallmark of a well-crafted mega dungeon is its vibrant internal dynamism. It possesses its own ecosystem and factions, creating a living, breathing environment rather than a static collection of rooms. Such a dungeon can host many different factions, different monsters, and many groups that you can conceivably dupe, join, ally with, or decide to wipe out. This fosters complex social and political dynamics where players' actions can shift the balances and create unforeseen consequences. Design recommendations often suggest integrating 1 to 3 factions per level with subtle hints of their presence in upper levels to build anticipation and interconnectedness. Crucially, the mega dungeon is inherently non-static, growing, and changing. Its design ensures that the rate of restocking outpaces any reasonable rate of exploration. This means it cannot be cleared or finished in the traditional sense, providing a continuous source of challenges and opportunities. Random encounters are central to this dynamism, serving to drive the pace, the resource consumption, and the actions of the party. These unpredictable elements contribute significantly to the dungeon's ever-changing and unpredictable nature. This continuous internal activity means the mega dungeon behaves like an active, evolving organism. Player choices can ripple through its depths, leading to new conflicts, alliances, and environmental shifts, making the environment feel truly alive and responsive rather than a mere backdrop for combat. This dynamic nature is key to its long-term replayability and narrative depth. Does that kind of make sense now, or kind of defining the definition of what we're talking about?
Yeah.
All right.
It's an open world, this underground.
Mm-hmm. It's like
Yeah.
just take everything that's above the ground and just put a roof over it.
Mm-hmm.
Mega dungeon.
Yeah, so there are some kind of true. Squish it all down.
That's true.
You know, this kind of makes me want to see like a Truman Show kind of thing play out in the Mega Dungeon.
Kind of, yeah, hey, there's stuff happening. Okay. Well, there's a book that you should read.
Okay.
Or a series.
So
Soon to be a TV show.
So just so we're all clear, there's a couple like basically other design tropes that generally happen. Generally, each level in a mega dungeon should ideally possess a distinct theme. So it can usually be summarized in a single sentence, such as the battlefield of tunnels between drow and troglodytes, or an academy of magic designed to test its students.
Or Mork and Mindy.
Yep.
Mm.
Mega dungeons are not solely about combat. A robust design incorporates ample opportunities for exploration, social interactions, trap hazards, and puzzles. Also, providing a home base is usually critical for long-term play. Locations like the Yawning Portal Tavern in Waterdeep or the Keep in the Borderlands serve as like vital hubs. So generally, it's a good idea to write some sort of place that players keep going back to. There's also this concept of the mythic underworld. So this is kind of deep in TTRPG philosophy, and there's a bunch of people who love to argue about this stuff, which is kind of cool, but also just warning you guys. So the mythic underworld concept is a deeply held belief within the old school Renaissance community that a mega dungeon should embody the concept of a mythic underworld. In this framework, the dungeon transcends being a mere location and is portrayed as a force inherently alive and inimical to life, to surface life. This means that the dungeon actively and proactively works to obstruct, trap, and destroy the pathogens, which are player characters and their hirelings, that invade it from above. This perspective transforms the dungeon from a passive setting into an active antagonist or even a character in itself. This deepens the survival horror aspect and the pervasive sense of danger, making every delve a struggle not just against its inhabitants, but against the environment itself. The very walls and passages seem to conspire against the adventurers, elevating the stakes beyond simple monster encounters and fostering a constant atmosphere of dread and challenge. So kind of like the Underdark.
I was going to say that parallels the Underdark a lot.
The Underdark is one of these kind of things that is reinforcing the concept of a mythic underworld. If you have a story where, like, at some point the protagonist will generally say, it's almost like this place wants to kill me, or like,
Yeah.
it's like that feel.
Australia?
Just Australia. All right. So, where might we see examples of this trope, for example, in other media?
The Upside Down.
Ooh. So the mega dungeon trope finds fertile ground in anime, often adapting its core mechanic to themes for unique narrative purposes. Delicious in Dungeon. Caught that on Netflix. This series offers a distinct take on the mega dungeon, focusing on a party's journey through a multi-level dungeon to rescue a fallen member, with a unique emphasis on culinary creativity.
All right.
It's actually a good show.
It is.
It's like
It is actually really good.
But like, it is pretty fun.
I was reincarnated as a vending machine.
I
Delicious.
left my A-rank party to help my fellow students reach the bottom of the dungeon.
Oh yeah, that might be more in. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Don Machi.
Yep.
So in this series, the dungeon is a central multi-level labyrinth beneath the city of Horario, serving as a primary setting for the adventures. That's a good example of one where like the dungeon isn't the story. The story each season takes place in and out of the dungeon, but it's always like there's always
Something has to do with the dungeon.
Yeah, like sometimes it's heavily bent on the dungeon. Sometimes they never go in the dungeon on a season, but like it's this constant thing in the world that everything's focused on. The entire ecosystem is driven around the dungeon. Sword Art Online, Aincrad. So specifically the first season or the first half of the season, Sword Art Online. Aincrad is basically a mega dungeon. Each level has a theme. You have to progress through levels to do something. This is a little bit further away, but kind of it is true. Made in Abyss.
Oh God.
Oh,
That's like Magica Madoka, where it's just like it's one of those ones just like, well, this is nice. Oh God, what did I just watch?
a discussion may have been had earlier about Owen's thematic stuff, that comes into some of his writing, and Made in Abyss takes some of that and shoves it down your throat.
Is that an anime thing or something?
Yeah. And it is, if you want to watch some kids get bleak very quickly.
It's a glowing endorsement you're giving it.
It's so,
and it's so good.
It is so, like, it's never done cheaply.
No.
Okay. Like there's a difference. Let me put this out to the audience. There's a difference between watching a slasher flick and watching a movie that gives you like existential dread or horror and really gets to you to where when you go home, you're like checking your closet and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And there's like the cheap candy of a slasher flick where you go there to be like, that's a jump scare. Oh,
and then there's the first Alien movie.
Yeah. And there's where you go home and you're like, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
This is going to mess with my head down the road. Made in Abyss is one of the second ones. It is something that will kind of be like, oh, we're going to tackle this weird thing. I didn't know this was going to make me ask questions about myself.
And it's like nothing is done for the spectacle. It's all because it's life is brutal and brutal things happen.
It's so good, but like, it's wonderful.
I could talk about that for an hour. I'm in a debate with my daughter on that very subject. She's into the whole, I love horror movies. I'm like, what you're watching is not horror movies.
No.
It's just a gore fest. That's all it is. It's not scary. It's not suspenseful. It doesn't leave you feeling icky when it's over. It's not horror.
Yeah, there's that period.
Has she seen The Thing?
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, there's that period of time when you kind of grow through your cinematic journey, and like you get introduced to the trope or the culture of horror movies, and like you get into Grindhouse and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and you're like, yes, this is a celebration of horror and violence and stuff like that. But these movies are not meant to inspire these things in you. Like they're meant to basically be slasher, fun, crazy, gory spectacles and stuff like that. And then you watch movies that like put some fear into you for the rest of your life. And you're like, I wasn't ready for that.
The first Blair Witch movie before we knew it was
that's exactly what I was thinking about. I told her, I'm like, you want to watch a scary movie, watch Blair Witch.
Yeah. Like Blair Witch is hard because of the knowledge portion of it. Like you have to
go into it having no idea what it is.
Blair Witch, that was the Paranormal Activity.
That's
the first one.
That movie, I still mention it whenever we bring that up. We went to the movie theater, we watched it, and about halfway through the movie, when it got to like the 5th night or the 6th night, there were some girls sitting behind us that were literally going, "Oh no, not again."
They were like crying when they came out with the date code.
Yes,
you knew that was the transition to the next scene.
Yes,
and that was also, I think that was the movie where Owen, Max, and we all went home, and like then we showed up 2 hours later in the living room watching TV.
Yes, we're just we don't want to.
Like no one said anything, but we just all knew we're gonna watch some cartoons.
Everybody needed a palate cleanser.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there are probably other good examples that I'm not thinking of, but like there are those movies that when, like, if you give it the time and you give it what it's like, Exorcist.
Yeah.
If you don't get exposed to The Exorcist by like a big brother making you watch it when you're not ready, but if you sit down and you're ready to embrace it, that movie will mess you up. Like, whoa.
Yeah, Max is big into horror films. He can watch just about anything and just be like, that was cool. And The Exorcist is the one movie where he's just like, I can't watch this. And it's such a strange parallel for him compared to everything else. Because there are several horror movies where I'm just like, no, I don't want Slither. I don't like Slither. I'm not huge on body horror. I don't like it. The Thing was rough on me, but I didn't want to watch Slither. That was the thing. We went and saw The Exorcist when they did like the remake. It wasn't the remake. It was like the director's cut, whatever one that they did where they updated thing, put, deleted scenes in and stuff like that. And halfway through the movie, he's literally like, I might have to get up and walk out.
Yeah. That's how I was with Paranormal Activity. After I watched that, I'm like, I am never watching that again.
Yeah.
They came out with a second one, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, the second
Not
one
gonna
was
do it.
nowhere near as good.
Yeah, I pretty much kept up with it.
Yeah.
Like there are certain things in that movie that like I said, I think the thing is if it altered you on some level where there's now like I know like not trying to make so big of a deal of this, but like there's now like a little thing in your head where you're like, "Ooh, I don't think I'll ever do that."
Yeah.
Like the whole thing about when they're like, "Oh, we're going to put down flour."
Yeah.
And
You see the hoof prints.
yeah, and I'm like, I'm never doing that.
Yeah.
All it means is that one time, if I ever did it and I saw that, like, what are you going to do? Go sleep in a church for the rest of your life? Yeah, like those things where you're like, if I ever saw that, my worldview would change. And I don't think I'd want to live here.
Yeah. I know we're totally going down a rabbit hole here, but there's a movie, I think it was one of the Omens, maybe. Anyways, there's a scene, they're in a hospital, and the camera's just looking down this really long hallway full of rooms, and there's like a cross hallway. And you see a nurse walk across, it's this empty hallway, and then she walks back, and then there's a dude that just comes power walking behind her in a sheet with his hands out. And that movie has haunted me for like 30 years. And that's all it was like guy in a sheet. And now my daughter's watching things like The Terrifier, and it's like, oh, come on, that's not scary.
So I gotta throw this in here. When I was a kid, I know
we'll have to add our anecdotes.
Yeah, we'll have to add our, when I was a kid, there was a Alice in Wonderland miniseries, and I don't remember like why.
It was The Wiz, right?
Maybe
No,
it was.
it's not.
Oh,
It's not. No, it was. I know it. That was the joke, The Wiz. No, I know what you're talking about. It was a mini series, and it was like she came back to Neverland. The girl who played Alice was the woman from The Craft.
Oh,
I can't think of her name right now.
Was that Through the Looking Glass or something?
it might have been. So here's my question, because this screwed me up really bad. And maybe it's not. Maybe you guys did you?
No, I remember it because it was dark and it was fucked up.
Do you see the part where she went back to her house?
I really don't remember. I was a little kid when I watched it.
There's a part where she like, it's obviously not her house, but like
Right.
she thinks she's back. She goes into her house, and this is going to sound hokey, but it's not. And she goes into the bathroom, and they did a trick with the mirror where she's in the bathroom and she sees like a dragon or a demon or something in the reflection, and it's doing things, and it's not, and it's that whole kind of trope of like it's reacting and it's eating her, it's killing her, it's doing something, and she's not there. That scarred me. Like I could not be near mirrors for I got this whole thing where like I was like, it's another world, and if something, I don't know what this means. Like it
is another world.
Anyway, this is kind of an old callback to our old podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, Mega Dungeons. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. How that
Mega
changes you. Yes.
Made the Abyss is how we got there.
Yes.
So technically, solo leveling is kind of a Mega Dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah. I
The
can see
whole
it.
world is kind of a mega dungeon, but it does have a lot of the same tropes with the gates and stuff. In novels, Dungeon Crawler Carl.
I've never heard of that one.
I've been hearing about that one lately.
Is it good?
I heard it's really good. I haven't read it.
Yeah, I'll skip.
I'm trying to push it out as hard as possible. I know it's seriously, if you haven't been exposed to it and if you're listening to this for any reason, just try to read that book. Sufficiently Advanced Magic. The novel features a serpent spire, a colossal tower that is a testing ground for individuals seeking magical powers. But it has the same kind of thing. There's a series called Climbing the Ranks, which kind of does the same thing. But basically, there's also a bunch of, I just kind of skipped over them, but there was a bunch of anime for a long period of time that had this concept of there is one dungeon that people go in and they pull resources out of. Anyway. So, the Mega Dungeon trope, born from practical necessity of managing early Dungeons & Dragons campaigns with a fluctuating player group, has evolved into a sophisticated and multifaceted design philosophy. Its core tenets, vastness, non-linearity, intricate interconnections, internal dynamism, and an unclearable nature collectively foster deep player agency and emergent storytelling. This unique combination has solidified it in a status as a truly distinctive and enduring structure within TTRPGs. So, think you guys want to play a Mega Dungeon?
No, not interested.
I think it'd be a very fine line between a Mega Dungeon and what Owen said, just taking everything above ground and putting it underground. I mean, you'd have to have the dungeon feel, but you also have to have a really good story. So where's the line between doing what you just do above ground, but doing it underground?
Well, there's a roof, so
The roof is quite literally the line.
yeah.
I think so. I think one of the things is when the dungeon is an integral part of the story. So, like I said, Maze Runners, I think, is like a good at kind of. Has anybody seen that movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So you know the concept of the first one specifically before they get into the whole.
Yeah,
But like the concept
that's the only one I've seen is the first one.
Yeah, so a bunch of guys that get in this place and they're like, oh, there's the maze and the maze is deadly and now we have to contend with this
Yeah, it was good. I liked
environment. Like, and that kind of concept, especially books and games and settings where like people have to pull from the dungeon to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
an ecosystem evolves. Like Sword Art Online, like the whole, for those who haven't seen it, the first season, half of the first season is around this one concept of a bunch of people stuck in a mega dungeon, like deep, like, dive MMO. And if they die in the game, they die in real life. Then it gets
Weird.
yeah. But anyway, that concept was so evocative because once again, it was this whole kind of thing. Like, what if you start taking these tropes of like kicking down the door and going from room to room and you start playing with them and like amping up the stakes where no longer is it like, I got to go in there and kill this wizard, but like part of the story is just trying to contend in a world that exists that way.
Mhm.
Like, this is the way the world gets. So specifically the idea that I had in my head, and I think this kind of why like I like this topic a lot, started with this concept of what if, like, who knows why, and like my idea now is kind of evolved into something else, but what if, who knows why, but like people die and they wake up and instead of like a Valhalla, they find themselves in the shores of this small town that exists at the entrance to a mega dungeon, and this whole concept of like, you got to go through and you can clear. And so like any progress of society, any progress of your personal development is going to be through this dungeon. So then you have people who wake up and they're like, I'm not going in there. Like, I don't like violence. I don't like scary things. I'm going to go set up a shop and people are going to come back and like, bring stuff and I'll sell it and I'll try to figure out a way to live on the outside. But then you do have a constant stream of people who are like, I'm going to go track and make a living in the dungeon, right? Like, I'm going to go down in there and start doing stuff. Ready Player One was basically a mega dungeon.
Yeah, I guess you could say
It
that.
had this kind of trope of like, we're all exposed to this thing, but everybody needs that little starting point. Everybody needs, in that case, it was money, but like that little thing to find the first thing so that you can go further. Made in the Abyss specifically, they're going down into a mega dungeon, like, but there's all these other levels, applied on top of it. So I think that kind of notion to me of that interaction of like a world in the dungeon, seems like really super interesting. And in like Dan Machi and stuff like that, the sharing of secrets about the dungeon, like you go in and you find a passageway, that's as good as gold, right? Because you can go sell that to the guild and then maybe people can like, adventurers will pay for maps and you start like unfolding this, well, because of A, B exists and because of B, C exists. And you keep kind of expanding that into its natural conclusion. Then you have this really kind of interesting concept of a world that involves this kind of oddity, this pillar of the world, which is the mega dungeon.
It sounds fun to do. I guess I just can't wrap my head around it because to me, a dungeon is just an enclosure with finite amount of rooms with pre-written this in this room, that in that room.
You gotta watch a lot more anime.
Yeah.
I
There's probably a good third of anime has some form of dungeon.
Gotta go grind the dungeon. Gotta get the next level to get the thing. The other source material that really inspired me, and it's specifically pushing our TTRPG kind of in a direction, was Xenogears.
Yeah.
And instead, like the Mega Dungeon, there's a couple parts where they deal with this concept of an ancient civilization and going into the ruins of an ancient civilization. And they play with like scope and stuff, and they kind of create these pieces of what would be a Mega Dungeon. Like these pieces of like, there's this can be really hard. And if this doesn't, it's probably not going to pay off. There's the feeling. And, oh man. Okay.
Tell us, Fifong.
Here. There's this feeling that sometimes I have, and either I'm going to be able to describe this to you or not. When camping is a good example of this. When you go to a place that is not your home
Tomorrow.
and you spend a sufficient time there so that your brain kind of sets that as home base, but there's still this dissonance that it's not where you live.
Yeah.
And you start getting like this feeling of like, I feel this space now, not just knowing it. Sometimes it happens like when we go to do a project or something, like maybe we're doing a ramp build or something at somebody's place and we're doing something outside, but we spend so much time there. Like, oh, the toolbox is always here.
Yeah.
The cooler's always there. This thing's always there. And then when you pack up, you're like violating that space because you're like, oh, the cooler's not there anymore. Like, and in your head, like that place existed in this weird state.
Yeah, I get it.
You can like almost in your memory go back to that place as it was, and it's not anymore.
I think of it as your best friends in high school's house.
Yeah, kind of like where you know where everything is, it's familiar, but it's just not your place.
Yeah, and then there's the last time you go there for a long time, then you go back and everything's different.
Yeah. And I think for me, the Mega Dungeon is trying to inspire that in the players, where if they spend enough time in a place, like a level of a Mega Dungeon, that becomes to them like, oh, we know this place.
That's their neighborhood.
Yeah, this is now our neighborhood. We got it. Even though this is a transitory place that they'll eventually go through and leave, but they're always going to be like, oh, remember level 1? Remember level 1 where we used to catch frogs in that stupid pond thing that looked like a mansion, and then we'd eat them, in this fireplace over here in the pit, like, and then we
had to go stomp rats and cockroaches with our feet, our bare feet.
Because I loved it. Had a foot fetish. Dungeon Crawler Call, people read it. Yeah. So like, that's my thing, is like that there's that concept of like instilling in the players this sense of ownership and camp in this weird way.
Oh, I totally get it.
Yeah. So that's why, yeah. So someday I will put forth
the Mega Dungeon.
Dungeon.
If you can pull it off in the way that you're describing, I think I will enjoy it.
Yeah. So mine's going to have mechs.
Say no more. Say no more.
I'm already signed up.
So, what powers these mechs? that is an important distinction.
Yes.
If we just say electricity, all right, whatever.
No. It depends on what you get your generator from.
Mm-hmm.
So you know the source material, you know that there's multiple different generators out there, and they work on different programs. Because you got to determine what level of society that you have stumbled upon to get their resources out. Yes, someday the Legends of Arcanus will be released.
Just give me billowing smoke and steam, and I will be happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Mega Dungeons, they could be your friend. They can also be a cheap way to keep people interested and just kick down doors and not have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But hey, be better.
Be better.
Aspire to better things.
Be better than that.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.